Justin, you've lived flow at the highest level in skiing and business. What was the single biggest shift that moved you from performing well to sustained high performance, happiness, and longevity?
Well, I think that I've developed this new saying because I learned a lot from coming to Switzerland. I talked a little bit before about coming to the mountains, and COVID was a chance to actually slow down. My wife Astrid and I made the decision to come to Switzerland because we realized that we were on a roller coaster, a hamster wheel, and we had to make a choice to step off of it in order to try to get a chance to, reassess. And when COVID happened, of course, it was a terrible thing. It was an opportunity to reflect and to reset. And then once we did that, I was able to recalibrate a lot of the things from skiing to sports and also my business life. And I got myself in shape. I can honestly say I have some of my business partners here. We've built a business that is growing, and it's extremely exciting. And I've been able to take this dream, and we've made it infectious. I'm glad I infected you and all these other people, because it's really fun to be able to experience all this with a super group of people. Mike, Mike. I know Mike too, and it's Mike. I know from Canada actually, so I'm grateful that you're here at Sandra. So that to me is having the courage to stop, make a change, and reflect, and that's what generated the idea to put all this together.
Well, high achievers constantly hit mental walls under pressure. What is the one tool or practice you've seen work fastest for Olympic athletes and CEOs to get back into the flow?
Thanks for the question. I'm going to answer two parts. I think there's a macro and a micro answer to this. I think from a macro level, the one thing I am seeing in both organization and in sport is mental recovery, regeneration is a key determinant on the high performance pathway. So I think an intervention I'm doing in both organization and in sport is high performance recovery action plans, and making sure that before people get there, they have the tolerance, they have the stress tolerance, they have the ability to regulate before that pressure moment. So I'd say from a macro level, and what would be in a high performance recovery action plan, it would be your physical and your physical health, what your mom has told you, eat, sleep, move, right? We should still be doing those things. A mental fitness tool on a daily basis, a connection plan, who are my humans that I need to make sure I'm connecting with, and then passion, purpose, and novelty. So within a 2-week period, how am I dripping that in to make sure I'm maximizing my recovery? So that would be from a macro level. From a micro level, I think one of the biggest things is acceptance. Acceptance of the internal state. Where athletes and performers get in trouble is when they're feeling fear, but they don't want to be feeling fear, so they're doing all these funny things to not feel the fear. Versus, I had an Olympian, gold medalist, and at the top, heart was in the throat, mindful, really aware of where I'm at. Yeah, it's the Olympic Games. Of course I'm going to be feeling this. Acceptance of this is what my body does, and this is the emotion, and then commitment. So the MAC approach. Mindfulness, awareness of what's going on, acceptance, they're just clouds in the sky, these emotions and these thoughts, but commitment, what do I need to do to bring my best in this moment? And I need to lean in, let go, or whatever those things are, and we've already done a focus plan. So that's a quick tool any of you can use. Mindfulness, acceptance, commitment, the MAC approach. It comes from Gardner and Moore, but great artists borrow, no, what was it? Good artists borrow and great artists steal and make it their own, right? So I do that with that.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you for your answer. From your work across sports, what is the missing piece in most athletes' body-mind integration?
I would say when I put it into one picture, the main picture is being realistic. Many people have dreams, they would like to be successful, but they don't understand the pathway to go there. And if you are successful in any field, be it in tennis, be it in skiing, be it in medicine, being a lawyer, you have to have the basic skills. Many people, especially the ones with talent, they want to be good without developing the basic skills. Just with talent, without basic skills being in place, you will always hit the ceiling area or sooner or later. And what I see as my goal as a coach, to develop an open system that I don't create in the ceiling, that I teach people skills in the way that when they decide to excel, that they have the opportunity with the skill set which I was establishing with them. So most people plateau, in my opinion, because they don't have the skills, because they don't have the plan, and because they don't have the grit. These are, I would say, the easiest answers to that. And we could go into more details, more small areas, but I think these three fields would be.
That's right, and you got to respect the time limit that you all have to answer. So, well, how do we deliberately design teams, companies, and families that protect and amplify flow instead of killing it?
Rethink how I was doing business. And then I met a lot of amazing business leaders. And one of the programs in the course was a professor who'd done a lot of research on networks, who's important, who's not, and everything else. So, the people put up their hand, how many people do you have are close to you, right? And some people says, oh, I've got 50, and I've got 75, I've got 80, I've got 90. Well, the reality of it is that I think when Brené Brown said it, you actually got to actually find out who and decide and understand who the really important people are in your life, whether it's family or friends. And of course, it's important to have lots of connections, which are important. But it's really important also to not try and spread yourself too thin, and not trying to take too many things on, which is going to sap your energy. And before I came here, I was on every board, I was on every committee. I had, I thought I had 500 friends. When I realized that actually I really didn't have that many who were really important to me, and when I started sort of paring that back and understanding what was truly important and who was truly important, then I was able to keep my energy. And then when I brought that to the game, I was a more authentic person to myself. That's comes from my heart, really.
Team or work with leaders, and the comment always was, we want them to excel, but we also want them to be well, because we know if they burn out, then they're going to leave. So it's this whole almost infinity loop that you get on. And so in about 2018, 2019, I was actually a co-founder of a company that developed an app that was upskilling mental health, upskilling resilience in the workplace. How do we do this? And then COVID hit. It went well. But the point being is I did a lot of homework on this question, and how do we do this? There's a researcher out of the University of Sydney, and I think the problem that we have is we're making it an individual problem. You need recovery. You need to make sure that you are taking care of yourself, where what this researcher suggests is it's actually a system problem. And I was talking with, who was I talking with? I was talking with someone in this room earlier, and we were talking about just that. And so what they say is you intervene in that mental recovery plan I gave you earlier, that's at the individual level. How are you upskilling the leader in terms of how they're managing the work? The number one demand for these employees is who? Not what, who? Is how the leadership is managing this. And then above that is organizational. What's the organizational? How are you structuring your work? What is I was talking to another person around Swiss versus North American, like, oh, we get 5 days off for Christmas. You guys are taking 2 weeks. That's phenomenal. But it's how we're organizing that. Having within that, in terms of your performance review, having a wellness metric, having a recovery metric, or whatever that may be within it. So I think to answer that question in terms of how do we make sure we're still flowing, it's a system approach in it, giving people tools and opportunity, but making sure you're hitting it at all levels within your organization.
I would add a little bit something from maybe other side, but I've been running a couple of sports teams and sports group. I have been commander in military, and in general, for me it's important that the group which we work together, which we are part of this team, has to have certain common values and common goal. And when we can agree on that we have a vision what we want to accomplish, just maybe a very minor goal, but which brings us to survival, let's say in the military or whatever, this is how we go on. When there are too many ideas, too many goals, not the same values, that will always fail.
So, not to do an advertising pitch, but if you listen to and we didn't talk about this before.
We
right?
did.
But you know, in my case, I'm saying focus and, you know, looking at what's important. And you're saying having a process and a system. And you're saying it's important to have a common goal and a community. And ultimately, those are the themes that and we didn't rehearse this, right? I mean, this is actually what we're trying to do here, by addressing these things and building a community that we can take advantage of building a system, focusing on things that are important, and then having a common goals that work together. So kind of interesting how that all came out.
Validation, good litmus test.
It was a no. It was a no. Okay. All right. Thank you to the three of you. But before the question period, we threw in another little question to the panel. It's an open round. What is one thing each of you is currently experimenting with personally to push your own flow, happiness, or longevity further? So if you could all start with Karen maybe this time. Yeah.
I think acceptance and trust. One thing I say to myself a lot is this is happening for me, not to me. What is the opportunity in this? And it is helping me where before I'd be like, "Ugh!" Where now it's like, oh, it's happening for me. Sometimes it comes out that way. But when it's happening for me, what can I gain from this? And just that trust, I have what I need to adapt or adjust to whatever comes my way. It's allowing me to just lean in and let go versus squeezing the pigeon.
I got three things. The first one is much on the same theme, is that you really, even no matter how smart you are and how brilliant you are, there's always somebody who has another idea or even, you know, a better idea or version of idea. And so years ago, and I'm still working on it, as some of my partners know, getting better at it, is that I'm making a real effort to listen and to engage in a dialogue so I can pick the brains and take the best of the best from everyone else and then work a synthesis of an answer. Okay. The second thing that I'm really working at hard is that I was always jumping to a typical North American. So what I learned here in Switzerland, you hear me say this often, slowing down to hurry up. You know, when I'm doing a ski turn, we talked about it today, you know, and you'll actually see some of it in the notes here. As soon as I want to make a turn, I want to move my body, you know. So now I gotta let things go and slow down and let me feel the snow, or let me understand the environment that's around me, in order that I can work with my team to make the best decisions. And then the third thing, from my perspective, is then, as a leader, trusting, to be able to delegate to my colleagues that I can actually and hold them accountable. But at the same time, you know, everybody, we talked about this in golf. Like, there's many ways to hit the ball, and you know, as long as there's certain fundamentals, as long as these people in my team share the same values, I gotta let them I got to let them run with the ball and not try and impose my will, because that's not working as a team. And those are the three things that I'm working on hard, but it's starting to come together.
Work in progress. You're
It's
doing
work in
a great
progress,
job.
and the thing about it is also is the necessary about process. What you're saying is that, you know, you could be the smartest cat in the town, Mike, and you know you can then, but you need a process. You can be brilliant, but you need process to work together, and that's the key thing.
If I would just, agree with that what Justin said. I'm coaching for over 40 years. And it's our coach who takes it serious. I take it serious what I do. I don't do it just for money, of course. I'm making money with that, but I do it because I like to make people perform better. And it's a big difference if you work with somebody who has common values with you, who goes along with you, and when you give energy, you receive energy back from people who work with you. And this is the flow in the process of coaching, which is kind of being enjoyed by both sides. And trying to, unfortunately, stay away from people which are not able to be part of the value process which you are trying to impose on them.
Yeah, that's really.
All right, thank you very much. Now we're at the fun portion of the, or unplanned portion, because they don't know the questions. So anybody in the room here can ask a question either to the panel or directly to somebody. I can bring the mic to you if you wish, or if you talk loud enough, stand up. Yeah.
I can speak up. I think
Okay,
it's
okay.
Thank you so much for today. My name is Pierfranco Di Gioia. I'm a turnaround manager, and I'm going back home with a lot of insights. All of them from your experience, sports. We have taken golf, tennis, skiing, all individual sports. And most of the flow I'm taking back home is with myself as an individual. But our daily life tomorrow will be with our team. How can we make this energy flow a collective?
And the metaphor I like to use is exactly that, is I have to be the best version of myself to be able to impact outwards. And I almost see it like a drop in the water, like a pebble. You drop a pebble and then it ripples outwards. So it's partly what you bring to the environment, I think, is really important. And then from a collective team standpoint, when we really look at how do we get the team into flow, number one, you are here for a reason. What is your purpose? Why are we all here? And you get aligned and collective on that. And even depending on where the person is in the company, they know how they're contributing to the larger goal, right? That's one thing. Number two, you all belong. You matter. Those belonging cues, those little notes, those little, like going up to someone that their name and you ask them a question about their child, those are massive. So you all belong. So you're here for a reason, you all belong. Number three, you are safe. And not safe from a physical, but from a psychological safety point, which all that means is candor. That we can have transparent conversations, we can have healthy dialogues in this organization, which when you have those things, belonging, purpose, and safety, that's gonna generate flow, in my opinion.
Well, the other, I agree with that 100%. And Mahai Csikszentmihalyi, who the Flow Collective, I've done a little bit of studying in this particular area. And the other interesting thing is when you have, if everyone's enthused with a common task, and right now, as you know, Pierfranco, we're at my other business, Pivotask. I think our partners are, and all our team are very enthused with like 3 projects. We're really excited about it. We all have a common purpose. And then when we have a common purpose, and we see the problems and we're working on them together, it's really interesting. And that's what we're trying to deal here is that we don't have all the answers. We're just facilitating. But what Mahai Csikszentmihalyi demonstrated scientifically is that when people have a goal and they work on it together, and they're iterative, like in other words, they're adding to it, that actually causes a lot of higher happiness and better performance. So if you can establish the common goal, create the excitement, and then get everybody engaged, that actually will have a profound influence on your life. And that's scientifically proven, right? Yeah, that's true.
I think when people have purpose, they are much happier in their lives. This is about being athlete, being business person, whatever you do.
You know, and if you read the New York Times last week, and you know, the study this came out about the state of high level of depression of people in the mid generation, and the reason is that they don't have a goal or a purpose in which to carry it on, because they've been too busy at their tablets and in front of their computers, and they don't have a goal or a purpose. So one of the things that we see is that if you have sport and you have a purpose to become better at something that you like to do, that actually causes a purpose that actually achieves something. That it doesn't have to be a lofty goal. It could be, I mean, there's even how you vacuum the carpet if you do it with an intention and a purpose.
But it goes together with the openness to change. Because what I could say, you can bring some examples from the tennis world. Sometimes we have 14 years old junior who plays tennis, let's say for 6 years, and he or she tells you, I can't change anything, I've done it for 6 years already. And then you see Novak Djokovic or Roger Federer changing in their 30s. And this is kind of the difference which the big champions are able to make, that they always adjust to the situation and will improve according to the current situation.
Okay, thank you. I was playing tennis a week ago in Florida, and this guy really, really wanted to win, and he hits me on the head with an overhead. And the first thing he told me, I get the point. Okay, which is true, but
That's true.
how you doing, Luke? You know.
Not at Wimbledon.
So, and also Friday, one of your former athletes, I saw him in Naples at the country club there, the Tiburon. He's following his daughter, that is one of the best golfers in the world. So you did something to the father that translated to the kids. One's a on tennis tour. The other one is also on the LPGA, but she's pregnant now. She'll be back.
You know, this is actually a very old story.
Yeah.
The man you met, who I'm describing, is Peter Korda.
Yeah.
I was coaching, we are actually originally from the same club from Prague, we are both Czechs originally. And I met Peter Korda for the first time in 1982. And I was coaching him from 1987 to 1988. I was his conditioning coach, performance coach, and assistant tennis coach, because his main coach was the Davis Cup coach, and he couldn't just coach one player, so I was assisting just in this person. And we have developed a system. It's a little bit long story, but maybe not so uninteresting. I just cut it very short. But Peter Korda was a big talent, but he was lazy. He's lefty, genius lefty, the right brain, and he was talented in everything: soccer, football, ice hockey, anything with balls, object, he was phenomenal. But he was lazy, he was not disciplined. And there would have been bets. I grew up in a club, and there was National Training Center of Czechoslovakia, one of the 5 national training centers. There have been bets if he's ever going to make it into top 100 in the world. The national training coaches said he's never going to make it into top 100 in the world. And then what happened? By case he won when he was 19, Czechoslovak championship, and he was about to maybe be a member of the Davis Cup team. It was a match in January, February 1988 against Paraguay. And back then there was a Czechoslovak player, Miloš Mečíš, who was like number 4 or 5 in the world. And there had been like 8 other Czechoslovak players who could be the number 2. And Peter was for a certain time boyfriend of the daughter of the national coach. So he was kind of sad. But then he was not boyfriend of her anymore, so he was not sad anymore. And then there was he was actually not sad at all. And then we have developed a program. The Davis Cup coach, who was our coach in the club as well, asked me to develop a program to make him so fit, so resilient that he's going to win, because there was a condition in the end of January after the Australian Open 1988 that all Czechoslovak players, besides Mečíš, have to take part, and based on the results, the decision will be made who is number 2 in the Davis Cup. And we are prepared from that. From October until the end of January, we had to plan like January 1st, 8 here in the morning, because it was good for the plan. We've been running in the snow and things like that. Making it short, Peter won this tournament, he played the Davis Cup.
Talking
He
about
made-
making it short,
Yeah, he made it. But sorry. Then other things happened. He actually asked me if his wife, Regina, is the right girlfriend for him. I told him, yes, this is the right girl for you. He married her, and they have 3 kids.
Yeah.
One daughter is Olympic champion and was number 1 in golf. The other daughter was top 20. And his son, I'm helping him with now, has been a top 20 in tennis. So I think he did something good.
yeah, he did.
Congratulations.
Indeed.
Well done. I
All
think
right.
it was number 2. I think. Yeah.
Australian Open 1998.
Yes. Yeah. Questions from the room? Somebody else with a question? I promise you the answers will be shorter, so don't worry. Okay, who said yes? Come on, we need one more, and then we'll wrap it up after this. Okay.
So is leadership for leadership?
Are leadership skills forged more in adversity or more in success? So, you know, how do you mint these skills?
Yes. Yes, is the question. Yeah, no, and once again, you said, is it this or that? It's yes and. I think in both, right? And once again, I think what we've talked about here, this is the thing, is when you're in the diversity, if you can, what I've found with some leaders is their ego gets in the way. They want to prove that they're competent and capable, and they're not looking at all of the data and all of the problems that are in front of them. I think within that, you can develop your skills if you're open and if you take off your armor, like we saw on that first slide. And then in success, Navy SEALs, after action review. Every single time, if they don't learn from what they're doing, then they die. So what went well and why, what can be improved and how, those questions, no matter if it's good or bad. So I'd say yes and is my short answer.
I agree with that, but just with no, not an and, just there's also some other points, is that, you know, when you look at successful leaders, you know, they've got to have the ability to try and look at let's use sport. You know who Wayne Gretzky is? Okay. Great hockey player. And Wayne Gretzky always, you know, as I started, I played a lot of polo at a pretty high level. And the critical thing to be really good at, to handle adversity, is to try and understand not only the field or the ice hockey rink you're playing on, but to go where the puck's gonna go, not go to where the puck is. And so anticipation is a critical thing. And when I really like your slide decks, not because you're my partner in that, but one of the things at the bottom, you talk about being ready. And ultimately it's the fitness and all these other things, but it's the planning and the thinking about what could go wrong or what could go right, so that when things do hit the adversity, because I've had some military experiences. Ultimately, the people who know military, the best plan unravels within the first 30 seconds. But if you've done all of the work and you've tried to anticipate, ultimately you have the skills to be able to handle adjust to the problems. And, you know, in many ways in skiing, you know, you're skiing on a nice smooth slope, and then all of a sudden there's a dip and there's an ice and there's a bump and everything else. But if you're locked into one sort of pattern, you're never going to be able to adapt. And that's kind of what else we learn from sport and from business.
I would just say very quickly, skills combined with awareness. I'm improving.
Now? Yes. All right, I think we're done with the questions. That dessert just looks so wonderful, and I want to go eat mine. Okay. I want to thank the panel. I think we should give them a good round of applause. In a bit of time, Justin is going to come over and we're going to have a bit of fun with the answers of the questionnaire. All right. Thank you
Yeah,
very
so
much.
we're gonna, the next step, we'll have finished dessert, we'll go over let Luke have a little chomp on his dessert, you guys get a chomp on dessert, come back, while you're eating dessert, we'll go over the answer to the questions, and then Karen's gonna sum up, helping us with the questionnaire, because what we wanna learn, we're gonna get feedback, and I'm gonna tell you about some of the things we have planned, and we'll be around and have, some water, and I'll have a glass of wine. Okay.